Hi, this is Melaine Sebastian with my Microsoft Word 2010 training videos. Today we're going to do the review tab. So I have the Snails essay open and I just opened a new version of it. Let's dive right in. First thing on your left in the review tab, you will see spelling and grammar. So let's click on that. And you'll see it begins to check words that are not in the dictionary for you. So this word pulmonate, not in our dictionary. However, we have a few options here. We could ignore it once, ignore it every time it occurs in the document, or just add it to our dictionary. So I think I am going to do that. Now, this looks like mollusks. Well, this maybe could be a misspelling. So if I want to change this word to the spelling that's suggested, I could double click on this blue highlighted word down here, or I can click change and it'll change it to whichever one's highlighted. I can hit change all, which will change the word throughout the document. So let me just change this one and it's on to the next word. So we can continue this throughout the document, and when we're finished we can just exit out, but I'm going to stop it right here. Our next option is research. So when you click research, you'll notice this pane pops up, and wherever your cursor is, this word will appear in the search bar right here. And if you click this green arrow, it's going to search on Bing automatically for you if you have Bing selected, or if you have the thesaurus selected, it'll come up in the thesaurus. So let's see what Bing has to say. And there it is, the gastropoda entry on Wikipedia, and you can click that and see what it has to say. When you're done, you can just exit that out. Thesaurus, this button brings us to the same exact pane. And then our last button in the proofing section is word count. So if you have a word highlighted, it will only show the statistics for that one word. So gastropoda, just 10 characters, only takes up one page, it's just one word. But if I am not selecting something, I can look at the statistics for the entire document. Let's move on to the language category. We can translate the entire document if we wish. Open it up, and it'll send it over the internet. So we're just going to hit send. It's just giving me a little heads up. And where'd it go? Okay, and it's going to open up in a browser window translator, and all that it'll do is translate your text for you. So here I have it translated into Persian, and you can see the progress right here, and there we go. There's our document translated. Great. I'm going to exit out. Okay, language, you can change the language that it's proofreading your document in. So you can go to that right there. It's taking a while today. Okay, and I can change it to any language. I can just tell it do not check spelling or grammar, and I can just make it change or detect which language I am in automatically without me having to tell it. So I'm going to cancel out right there. Okay, next, comments. So what can you comment on? Well, you can comment on anything. You can comment on a paragraph. You can say this paragraph rocks. You can comment on just a word. You can comment on pictures. So anything that's selectable, you can really comment on. Oop, seem to have slipped to a different tab here. Okay, any of these things you can comment on. Now, it's not liking, I'm just going to put the word snails there. Let me jump back up here. Okay. And when when I have a comment selected, I can choose to delete it. I can delete all comments in the document. So let me delete this one because I just put the word snails in there. I can jump from comment to comment. Next. Okay, and you can even see the initials of who made the comment, and if you hover over, it looks like I'm signed in currently as someone named Edward, and I can change that. We'll talk about that when we get to track changes, how we can fix our initial and our name. Now, an ink comment. Let's scroll down. Overview, ink comment, and it's just what it says it is. Maybe I wanted to add a little picture of a snail here. Okay, and that's an ink comment. The eraser's available if I need to go back and fix it, but that's really all you can do with an ink comment. Nothing's too special about it. And then once again, you can jump from comment to comment if you'd like. Great, let's move on to the tracking section. So in the tracking section, you can see the changes that people have made to a document. So right now, I'm going to click on this drop down, and I am going to start tracking changes. That's exactly the same as if you click this big button here. So let's start making some changes. I'm going to hide this margin right here by double clicking, and let's say I just want to get rid of this entire paragraph. So backspace. Well, what do you notice? It didn't actually go away. It still appears to be there, but it has a strike through. So this represents the deletion that I made. So I wanted to delete this, but now instead of actually deleting it, it's going to save the text as it was once I clicked this button here, and any changes I make will be noted in some way. Let's try to make some other changes. So what if I insert... Maybe I want to insert new rows to my table. Well, I can go to the table layout and insert below. And what do you notice about these things that I'm inserting? This one particularly, it's not the same color. It's not the color it should be, certainly. Let's add some more things here. Okay, so any changes that I make will be noted, and it's telling me, hey, this purple is representing that I'm still signed in as Edward and that I formatted the table. Now obviously I'm not Edward, but we'll talk about how to change that. Other changes you might make. You might add some words. Okay, you might move things around. Let's say we took this paragraph and we just scooched it up here. And these changes are reflected in the document in varying colors. So let's talk about those colors and also going back to changing who we're signed in as. So go back to track changes and let's look at the options first of all. Right now, you'll notice the first few things in this window are showing me what happens when I make an insertion. So when I make an insertion, it's telling me, well, I meaning Microsoft Word, I'm just going to change the color, and I'm always going to change it to red. If you delete something, I'm going to strike through it, and I'm also going to change the color, as we've seen right here. If I change a line, the outside border will have a little line on it. The comments will show up by author. So by author means every time I change the author, whoever I'm signed in as, that will show up with a particular color associated with it, different for each person. We saw in the table that when I inserted cells in the table, we saw that light blue. So maybe I want to change some of these colors. Well, that's fine. I could change, instead of when I insert red, I could change it so it changes by author. I could say, well, every deletion I would like to turn, what color would we like? Maybe bright green. Oh boy. Okay, and there's that change. And currently, still signed in as Edward. Let's go and change that. So I'm going to go to change username. And now maybe Edward and I were working together on a project, and I'm just gonna go put my name in there, M for Elaine, and OK. All right, let's make some changes now that we're signed in as me. And maybe I want to get rid of this sentence, delete. Oh, there's that green. Now remember, the green was for everybody who deleted. So I can't tell whether I did this or Edward did this. But let's take a sentence from right here, or a few sentences, and I'm going to move these so that they're inserted at the beginning of the paragraph. And what do you notice? Where they're deleted, they're purple. And where I move them, they're also a green. So these colors help to represent who made the changes if we have it set by author. But if we don't want to show who did what, we can have it so that everybody is bright green when it's deleted, or so on and so forth. When I delete this snail, it's not going to actually delete the snail. Of course, we see here we didn't delete the text, and it's just going to have a little line on the side representing that I made a change to it. All right, so now I've made a bunch of changes, and what if I want to go back and see how this document was before I started all this? Well, I can do that. I can go back to the tracking section, and I can show the original. Okay, so there's my original document. I can show original with the markup. And then if I show final with markup, here's the final with the markup. Now I haven't accepted or rejected these changes yet, so we'll see changes after we have gone through that process. And to accept or reject changes, I need to go in and decide, for these changes, are they good or are they not good? Do I want to keep them or not keep them? So let's look at that process. All right, this is just a comment. Let's look at this deletion. Do I want to accept or reject this change? Let's accept this one. Let's get rid of this paragraph. And there goes that paragraph. So I accepted that change. Now I'm currently on the next change. Let me turn it so that, let me change. All right, now we can see our table. Do I want to accept these changes or reject? I'm going to reject these changes. Remember, we changed the formatting on this table. Let me reject those, and our table is back to normal. Now it wants to know, what about this bottom row of the table? I'm going to reject that as well. So we didn't add that. Now it's on to this change right here. Let me accept that, and I'm going to reject. So you get the point. You can accept or reject the changes. You can jump around from change to change, and you'll see highlights wherever the changes are, and you get to look at the change that someone made. You get to decide yes or no. Now, if you're too lazy or you don't have time to do all this, you can accept all changes. Okay, so now our final document looks like this with our changes. We can go back to the original, but what do you notice? Well, the original, now that we accepted all the changes, this is the original. The changes are gone. So it won't make a difference either way. The only difference is if I want to show the markup or not. If I show the markup, then my comments will show up in the margin over here. The reviewing pane, let's open up the reviewing pane. And the reviewing pane will show any changes or any other types of reviews made in the document. So I see comments, and I can quickly jump around. Now I could have seen my changes before I accepted or rejected them, but now that I have gone through and accepted all of them, they just don't show up anymore.